Hi everyone, Steve here from RSM and welcome to the latest episode of our Coffee Conversation series. Today I'm joined by Elia Hill. Elia is the Chief Growth Officer of Nuestar and you're about to tell us all about that, Elia. So thanks for coming along. This is all about a conversation over coffee, as I mentioned earlier. So what's your poison? What's your coffee of choice?
Well, typically it is a long black with almond milk. However, I've had about 4 this morning, so I thought maybe I'll go to the piccolo. So I do love a piccolo, and here they do the best ones. So
they really do.
Yeah.
And I've got to acknowledge our friends here at Bar Miette, who are very gracious and kind enough to let us do our filming here as well. I'm kind of similarly piccolo time because, again, second coffee of the day, got to keep it a little bit slow. So, Elia, maybe to just kick things off, if you could tell us a little bit about your story, about yourself. Who's the real Elia Hill?
Oh, goodness. I guess I was really fortunate. I fell in love with the sport, when I was 4 or 5, and that sport was tennis. And all I wanted to do was play and, be a professional and just play tennis my whole life. And I was really lucky to not only play a lot throughout high school and travel, I then took it up as a career as a tennis coach. So I gave it a go on the tour for a while. Nowhere near what needed to be. Looked at college for a while in the States. But then my coach at the time said, come and do a few coaching hours with me. And I absolutely fell in love with it. And I think that's really where I fell in love with helping people. And we'll talk about that, my role at Nuestar.
Okay.
So coached for several years here in Australia. It took me overseas, took me around the world. Was based in Thailand and Hong Kong for many years. And I wouldn't have had that opportunity or those experiences unless I had that sport.
Sure.
But it also, I think, sport created who I was in the way of just having that responsibility and accountability for a pretty individual sport as well. So I think sport really has shown me into who I am.
Yeah.
I then came home and I was only home for a little while. However, a role came up with Tennis Queensland, and that was to look after participation across Brisbane, and 14 years later, I finished there as the acting CEO at Tennis Queensland. And
excellent.
Was really lucky to sit in lots of deck chairs, meet lots of great people, and learn about the commercialisation of sport, what it can do, the health and wellbeing benefits, and just learned a lot about everything through sport and how I then went over to the government for a while. I thought I wanted to go and learn a bit more here. I did a lot with government and I loved working with them, but I wanted to understand more about being in government.
Sure.
And just learn an array of how things work and why things work. I think the why was important. But the role I had there was, again, it was helping the sport technology industry. How do we grow that? So how do we help and how do we connect? And then I met the guys at Nuestar, and by default, one of the founders was a tennis player.
Oh,
and he came to a night. Outside my day job, I have a small business called Connecting In, and a part of that is bringing global speakers to Australia. And one of those speakers is a gentleman called Craig O'Shaughnessy, who did several years with Novak Djokovic as his strategy coach.
Mm-hmm.
And Craig held a dinner, and Michael from Nuestar came along, and he said to my guest, who was a tennis person, "Hi." I said, "Hang on, how do you guys know each other?" Brisbane and sport's a small world.
Absolutely. It's such a small world.
Yeah. So we got to know each other a little there. I understood what Nuestar was doing. And then around May-ish, they said to me, we want you to come over and we want you to help scale our business. We want you to be our Chief Growth Officer. It's something that we really want this with you. And I just thought, God, what a great opportunity. And I talk about the help piece. We help people with wealth strategies and their wealth growth and wealth creation. And it's just such a lovely role to be in, to be a part of helping people have their lives be different.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And so that's the short version.
That is the short version.
You've given
me the long version before as well. I like the long version too, but the short version is good for everybody out there as well.
Anything?
Yeah, I think you pretty much got everything.
Okay.
I think you've got everything. And I love the synergies between what you do with Connecting In and what you're doing with Nuestar, because one of the things that I'm passionate about, and we share the same passion, I know that, is around connecting people with others. And I think both of those roles gives you the opportunity to do it. So it doesn't surprise me at all that you've ended up as the Chief Growth Officer at Nuestar. But maybe tell us a little bit about Nuestar, because I'm sure a lot of people out there have not heard of Nuestar before. So tell us the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. So Nuestar has been I think we're around 10 years we've been around, and there's 2 founders, Nick Hagan and Michael Wilkins, and there's 2 halves of the business. The front half is around psychology and strategy, and the back half is around property acquisition. So what we do is we meet people and ask them, what does your wealth strategy look like? Who's the team around you to help you have one? And surprisingly, or maybe not, a lot of people say, what do you mean? And we go, well, who's the people helping you be who you want to be when you don't work anymore?
Yeah.
You break a leg, you go and get fixed by the doctor, you go to the physio, you work with the team to make sure you've got a healthy, sustainable leg. You have a team around you. Your child goes to school, you have a team around their education to make sure they've got the best of what they can be.
Yeah.
And we say, who's the team around you looking after your strategy for wealth creation?
Uh-huh.
And most people say no one. And I think I might need some help to make sure I've got something.
Yeah.
So then, we meet them and they understand what we do a bit more. Nick goes into a discovery session. And then if they've got someone around them, so whether it's a financier or a mortgage broker or whoever it is, we still work with that team. But if they don't, we put that team of experts around you and we wash you up and say, right, this is kind of who you are. And we do some Enneagram testing to understand your personality. And Nick really makes sure that you as a client are looked after and we understand who you are and what's right for you. That's the front half.
Yep.
The back half, Michael travels the country and acquiring great relationships with strategic partners to make sure that we've got opportunity for wholesale property. So then we say, okay, Steve, we understand who you are. We've got these opportunities for you to purchase and we'd love for you to take this opportunity up.
Yeah.
So we really work with our clients to make sure that they've got something they don't have time to look for and they've got a team around them to look after them.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And it's a really interesting kind of twist. It's certainly nothing that I've come across before, combining the psychology part of it and working with the person to understand who they really are and what they really need. It's so important. And then, working with them to develop their wealth strategy or a part of their wealth strategy, because certainly from my experience, a lot of my clients will probably include myself in this as well. They're really good at kind of what they do, but they're not necessarily good at looking after themselves and looking after their kind of own, wealth strategy, going forward.
Absolutely.
So, you'll need. So what are some of the challenges that you face in doing that and bringing that out and getting people involved?
I think, you don't know what you don't know. And again, because we just help people, it's where do you start? We have been here for a long time. The gentlemen have done an amazing job with the business and we're scaling, but we're scaling pretty quickly. And how do we just do that at the right pace?
Sure.
That's really important. So making sure that we're starting the right way. What do we need to put in place? We want to be here. How do we do that? How do we make sure we don't have to relook at it?
Yes.
So I think scaling in a business is, I think we talked about digital transition last night, or transformation. We're transforming and in only a positive way. We've now opened in Singapore. We'll look to open in some other Asian capital cities. How do we do that the right way? So not so much a challenge, just more being really taking the time to do it well.
Yeah.
Because it's exciting to just go. Yeah.
Oh no, absolutely. And I guess that's the difficult thing to resist is just let's just go.
Yeah.
That's really hard. And particularly for someone like yourself who just likes to just go.
Exactly.
So I'm finishing kind of up on that really positive note. What do you see as the future? Like, what are the opportunities that you kind of see in front of you?
Yeah. In Nuestar in particular or holistically?
Maybe it's holistic.
Holistically, I think where we are right now, the opportunity that sits in our laps, particularly here in Queensland and in Australia, not only does everyone want to come to this city where we're going to be holding the games, but how do we make sure we create the best city with the best businesses and the best connectivity? So how do we do what we do in WeNet across the city at scale to make this the place everyone wants to be? I think it's an exciting time for growth and post the games, what the games will do for us.
Yeah.
Our city will have a legacy that we never thought we could have. So how do we really take that on and do it as best as we can?
Fantastic. Share that 100%. Elia, thank you so much. Good to catch up again. We should do it more often.
We should.
And thank you all for joining me again. I'm sure you got something out of that. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.